Here we are. We are live. Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Sorry for the 15-minute delay. Had a little bit of technical difficulties here, but we're back.
On my end.
It's all good. Anyways, welcome everybody to SVT Time Live. I'm Dino. I've got my co-host Dom here today.
I'm Bob.
And say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
This is episode 23. So if that number means anything to anybody, it's amazing that we've done 23 of these episodes. But for episode 23, we've got Bob Glaub. I said that right? Glaub?
Yeah, pretty good.
I know a lot of people say Glaub, but
yeah, it's just easier. Yeah, Bob Glaub. You know.
Yeah, a lot of people say Monticellos for me too, but Anyways, Bob, welcome. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thanks so much for having me, guys.
Man,
Dino and Dom.
the Greek and the Italian.
That's right.
Yeah.
People call me Liberace, so it's fine.
We go.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you being able. I know this kind of all came together really quick, last minute, with your tour schedule, and you're actually calling from the road right now, right?
Yes, I am. It's all good. Yeah.
You're on the road with Jackson Browne, obviously, right?
Yeah, Jackson Browne right now this week. Yeah, just got off a tour about a week and a half ago with Jackson Browne and James Taylor. I'm not playing with James Taylor, but it's a 2-act show, playing really much bigger places. This is a little 2-week run with Jackson doing his own 2-hour plus show.
Okay. And it's Jackson and then James, and you guys are doing your own individual sets.
Yeah, when we're out with him, we're going back out with him in about after this leg. There's about a 3-week break. Then we're doing a bunch of gigs in October, November, and into the middle of December. Like I think December 15th or so. So there's quite a bit more to go.
Sure. Real quick question for you. So now that you guys are back out touring, obviously 2021 or 2020 was an absolute mess for everybody. But what are you seeing differently in terms of like protocols and safety measures now that we're I don't want to say we're post-COVID, we're still kind of in the middle of it. But
well, it's quite different. I mean, we take it really seriously. I mean, the COVID protocol on our tour is pretty serious, and I mean, I have a package of these, we wear them at all times at the gig.
Really?
At all times except dinner, and even like right till we walk up to the stage, we have them on. They get tangled up in my in-ear monitors because those have, they're not wireless. So I kind of hold it to my face, and while I'm walking just to the wings of a stage, and then like this. And I have a white one too. And then we have these real attractive ones that adhere to your face. They have kind of like a Band-Aid, removable tape on the back. They're the K95s, and then they tape all to your face. It's a complete lock, airlock. So we wear those in some areas, and we have very restricted protocol on what we can and can't, what we aren't supposed to do, and what we can do on days off and time off. As far as eating in restaurants, please don't go to ball games on a day off. Don't go to crowded museums. Don't eat in restaurants. If you want to go out to eat at a patio table, hopefully quite a distance from someone. Wear your mask until you get your food. We have a COVID officer on the tour with us, and we take lab tests every it was every other show day. Now it's every show day, and we have to fill out a little thing. I haven't done it today, even on days off. Every day of the week, a little dossier. Have you had any? It's like a 6-question. It takes about 30 seconds. Takes about 60 seconds tops. Have you had any 6 questions, these symptoms, this is symptoms. Have you been exposed to anyone? You know, it's zapped a lot of the non-musical fun, I have to say. I mean, we still have fun and a lot of laughs because we have a little pod of, musicians in the band and crew that we're all familiar and comfortable with. But there's no guests allowed at shows. I mean, I can, if I get 2 comp tickets, I can invite the guests, but there's no before show interaction, no after show, no backstage room. There's no nothing and no exceptions. I mean, the bosses, James and Jackson, there's no one.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to see someone, okay, go meet them at a restaurant and eat at a patio on a day off, but there's no one at the gig. So it's changed the whole kind of social aspect of touring. And you're just trying to be careful walking on splinters, a lot.
Yeah.
So it's challenging. To say it's not challenging would be an understate.
Yeah. Yeah.
One, can
Overstatement.
you imagine like handing those little questionnaires to like Van Halen in the 80s after tour shows?
Yeah, I mean it's a trip,
That's
and
funny.
we do these spit saliva tests, and we do cotton swab tests, and the guy, our officer sends them out to a lab, and I mean, I'm spending probably too much time in detail about it, but it's pretty serious.
That's
and it's the only way to keep the show on the road, I guess.
Yeah.
And we're all for it because a lot of shows, if you're following any touring, bands, a lot of stuff's getting shut down. Canceled because all it takes is one guy.
Yeah.
Especially one guy in a band. A crew. I'm not saying the crew they're just as important. I mean, they're more important. We can't do anything without them. We have an incredible crew.
Yeah.
But they're replaceable maybe on a day's notice. Get another guy. A guitar tech with all the guitars that Jackson carries would be difficult because Jackson has, 15 guitars. The 2 other guitarists probably have 7 to 10 guitars each, all in different tunings. And it would be heavy to replace one of those guys on a day's notice.
Yeah.
But COVID protocol has changed everything, and I don't see it going away for a little while. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. There's too much risk.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool that you all are probably feel very, very protected. I'm curious if does this COVID officer, were they like a health official normally, and they were like, man, I love music and I want to be on the road. Like, truth be told, I understand the person on the road with us is a musician. He writes songs. Cool. He's a guitar player. I don't really know that much about his personal life, but he obviously went and got some kind of certification that, I'm not saying he's he's super qualified, but I think it's a certification that any one of us 3 could go get, like going to get Red Cross training or, some kind of certification. I'm sure maybe it's a little more than that, than doing CPR. You can get certified in that. You can get certified in a lot of stuff, right? Yeah. Scuba diving. I'm sure there's some training and you have to get certified. And, he seems very knowledgeable about what's going on and what steps need to be taken. But he's by no means a medical doctor. We're not traveling with a doctor, but they're doctors to be in touch with.
Yeah.
Is there? We're kind of talking about more of the band and crew side of things. In terms of the crowd, have you noticed a big difference are people more inclined to? Are they letting loose more, or do you feel kind of people are a little bit guarded at the shows?
No, I feel like people are really starved for music after it's been over a year and a half now, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting closer to 2 years. People are starved. They're to quote my good friend Jimmy Johnson, the brilliant bass player with James, he says the people are jonesing for it, that's, and they are. And they're just enthusiastic as can be. And you see some people, I mean, when I'm on stage,
I kind of am backstage a little bit. I'm not in front, up front singing. I'm like near the drum riser, a little further back. So, I can't really focus on a whole crowd until the ends of the show, they turn lights up. But I don't see a lot of masks is what I'm driving at. You kind of notice a few here and there, but not a lot of mask wearing going on.
Yeah.
I think on this 2.5 week leg I'm doing with Jackson, I think they're asking for proof of vax card, for entrance into the venue, or a recent shot, vaccination.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going on the James Taylor leg that we're opening for James, because those are bigger crowds. It would probably take a really long time, for 18 to 24,000. Well, I don't count the heads, but they're big venues.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you just did a show with Jackson last night?
Yeah, I did.
I remember what was because most of these shows that you're doing are outdoor sheds from what I'm
assuming.
It's
a mix on the James Taylor tour. It was a mix, and it's going to be a mix on this little leg too. Okay. I think we only have 8 more shows, May 7, and then it ends. With doing filming a segment of Austin City Limits.
Oh, cool.
So that's different. That's a TV show, but it is a show. We're going to play a live 75, short set, 75-minute set. But it's a mix, outdoor and indoor. But we played some arenas with James, big basketball, hockey arenas, and then some of the big, larger, really big sheds.
Yeah. What do you prefer, Bob? What do you prefer for a venue? Like, what's your?
I mean, I have no preference. I like them all. I like a 100-seat club, sweaty blues bar,
right.
Or club, some kind of club. Right now I'm a little bit nervous about playing a place like that, a sardine can kind of atmosphere. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, when we're on break from this leg of the tour, between this and the next James Taylor tour, which is 3 weeks later, I have like a week off, and then I'm going to go to New York and New Orleans to play 2 gigs with another artist named Anders Osborne. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah.
Anders Osborne, he's a great singer-songwriter from New Orleans. We were supposed to have a 3rd gig opening for the Rolling Stones on their stage at the New Orleans Jazz Fest, but that's gone. The Jazz Fest was canceled about 3 weeks ago or so, or 4 weeks. I don't know, a while ago. The Stones are still going on tour, but they canceled that gig.
Mm-hmm.
So we're playing Tipitina's. I don't know if you know that club in New Orleans. That's a sweaty, pretty big nightclub. And Anders is popular in New Orleans, so I imagine it could be packed. So I don't know. That makes me slightly more nervous than these big venues.
Yeah.
On Jackson's and James tours, we also travel. They've bought these big, how you see advertisements for air filters for your home. And they're usually these little, they stand on the floor, or they can be a desktop one. They have these big drums. They almost look like a half of a trash can or something. I don't know, 3 to 4 of them at the front of the stage. Not on stage, but at the foot of the stage in front of the front row.
Yeah.
It doesn't, obscure any fans' view of the stage, but, because they're probably, I don't know, waist high, or they come up to, below your chest level. They're pretty large though, and they have 3, 4 of those at the foot of the stage. And each of the buses that we travel on has at least 2 of them on the bus, sitting in the aisleway of the bus. They're for air purification.
Okay. All
right.
So it's so different. I mean,
wow.
I mean, I really miss seeing friends, traveling for as long as I have. I've, made quite a few friends across the country, and it's fun to see them and wine and dine, or just dine, or just see them, for a coffee or whatever. And I'm really not doing any of that. Although I do plan to play golf later today. That's kind of in the safe zone because
That
it's
feels,
outdoors.
yeah, that's
Yeah, we have a
distance.
day off today. So planning with one of the guys, our front of house engineer. We have kind of a half-baked plan. I don't have a tea time, but that's kind of a semi-safe, you're supposed to wear your mask. We wear a mask when we go pay at the, starter, and if you're going to go buy any food or something. But on the golf course, unless you're near strangers, you don't really have to wear the mask.
Yeah.
If we were driving in the same golf cart together, we're supposed to wear a mask while we're in the cart.
Even though
But,
the same crew.
yeah, even though, because, they call them different pods, the crew guys. Like maybe if I was playing with the guitar player in the band, Val McCallum, we usually play, but he's not on this 2-week leg. He took a little break. He has a sub. Maybe it wouldn't be as important because we're on one pod on a bus and he's on a crew bus, the house engineer. So it's a different pod, even though we're all in the same pod.
Yeah. I get you.
It's bizarre. Yeah.
But it's stuff you don't think about it until you think about it and you realize just how deep it goes.
Oh yeah, it's serious. It's very serious. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be out. They wouldn't be able to be out here.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you travel with your own clubs? I got to ask.
I do. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, at best we get to play once a week. We had a gig canceled because of the Lake Tahoe fire. We were supposed to go from here. We have a gig in Napa tomorrow night, and we were supposed to have a gig in Lake Tahoe the following night. So in 3 nights from now. And it got canceled about a week ago or so, because I don't know if you've heard about the raging fires in California. They have that one under control in the Tahoe area. It was burning towards the city of, South Lake Tahoe, where the casinos are, and it's very populated there. It's a, really, really popular California tourist destination, summer and winter, because of skiing, and then the lake is gorgeous. But they have that fire under control. It's not burning towards the town anymore, but the air quality is so horrible. And we were playing an outdoor venue there, so that's over too.
Right.
So we do have an extra day. I guess we have an extra day off, so maybe I'll get to play twice this week. Going straight to Arizona after tomorrow night's show. Pretty long drive.
I'd say
everything's changed.
So what is your bases to clubs ratio? Clubs.
Well, you can have 14 clubs, legally. Yeah. I mean, I'm not on a PGA tour or in a tournament, so when you're playing with buddies, you can have as many clubs as you want, try out stuff. But I have kind of a regulation amount of clubs in my bag, and I don't have 14 bases on the road. But I do have about 6, which is
awesome.
Which is ridiculous, Now,
do you travel with that many bases for different, obviously for different sounds or for different tunings? I know some guys do for both.
A little bit of both. I mean, I have one bass. Okay, so I'll run the gear down. I have a brand new, kind of pretty new Fender kind of custom shop bass. It was built by the custom shop. I had an old body, early 60s P-bass body that I bought from a friend. And anyway, they built me a neck and put a custom shop pickup in, and it's a custom shop P-bass. It's just like a hybrid P-bass with a 66 jazz bass neck with dots and binding. And it's a great, great bass. I can't say enough about it. I'm just loving it.
Awesome.
Just like perfect. I kind of retired my vintage P basses and jazz basses from the road.
Okay.
So there's that. I do have a 64 P bass. It has round wound strings. I could probably retire it. I'm just figuring it out still.
Yeah.
And then I have a Lakeland P bass copy that's tuned down to E flat. I mean, a half step down across the 4 strings.
Yeah.
And then I have the 4th bass is this newer Well, I've had one for a couple of years because I've got a prototype. I don't have the prototype with me. I bought a second one. I don't know if you've heard of these Kerry Nordstrand. He calls it the cat bass. It's spelled Acinonyx.
Yep.
Or Acinonyx.
Adding how to
Acinonyx
pronounce
bass.
it.
And
Yeah.
I've had one. I got the first one because I
Oh wow.
kind of talked Kerry out of one of 2 or maybe 3 prototypes that he handmade. I saw it at the NAMM show. Well, close to 3. You know, what's the next NAMM show? Is it happening?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Is
think
it going
they
to
just
happen?
Combined.
Winter NAMM has been postponed to
Indefinitely again, huh?
Yeah.
They're like it's like combined summer winter NAMM almost.
So anyway, I saw it like over 2.5 years ago. 2019. Is that when it was? Yeah, or 2018.
I was gonna say. I want to say he launched them. He launched them in 2018 because I remember seeing the
at the show.
2019. Yeah.
Yeah, the imports were at 2019. So I have the import one on the road. That's my long-winded answer to that completes my bass arsenal. So I only have 4 really. I said 6. I have a backup, another P bass if one of I mostly use flat wound strings. I said I have that one round one P bass. I might retire it and just play it all on the 2 P basses, the one in E flat. And there's one song I do a couple high little things, and in my ears it sounds better with the round wound. I'll refer to my good buddy Jimmy Johnson again. He said, out front they all sound the same. And he plays one
smart.
Olympic 5-string. I mean that's all he ever.
Yeah.
I mean he's known for that. I think he owns 3 of them, 2 fretted and 2 fretless, and they're all very similar from the 70s. Original.
Yeah.
Kind of original issue.
Yep.
Alembic basses. And I'm his biggest fan, and he's beautiful, unbelievable, masterful. It's been what a treat getting to hang out with him and listen to them at sound check and a little bit at gigs. We kind of cut out the band bus after our gig most of the time, so we don't get to hear much of James' shows. But I have heard one whole show, and I've heard almost every sound check I listen. They play for about an hour a day, and it's a master class. So, but he did say they all sound the same, Bob.
Yeah. I mean, for all intents and purposes, when you're sitting out front,
it sounds like a bass.
It sounds like a bass, So,
well, that's the point, I guess.
Now I got to ask you. So, so Jimmy, man, and I got to say, between yourself and Jimmy, and I have to include Leland on this as well. I mean, some of your bass lines, when you say, "Oh, I'm playing this," some upper register stuff, the last show I saw you with Jackson. In fact, I was with Danny Morris from Berkeley in Boston.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about masterclass? I mean, Bob, it was all groove all night, and then every now and then you'd throw in, one of these upper register licks. I'm trying to remember the song, but it's just like Dan and I would look at each other and go,
well, that's sweet of you, but I mean, truth be told, that's not my strong suit. Maybe. I mean, I can go there. I usually say I stay away from the dusty area mostly. we some of us call that the dusty area.
Yeah.
Not those guys. Not Leland, who's a good friend, and Jimmy, who I've become really good friends with.
Yeah.
But in Jackson's band, I mean, every musical experience is different, right? Meaning a band, or you're playing with an artist, or a duo, or a trio, and it's about space, right? So, truth be told, in Jackson's band, there's 3 guitar players and 2 keyboard players. Okay. I mean, we got 2 guitar players. Jackson plays guitar on almost everything. He plays piano on a few tunes, and then we have a new piano player in the band, a new a new member of the band who's a great pianist and a great fiddle player, violin player.
Well,
Okay.
Like a virtuoso. The guy has played violin with the Mahavishnu Orchestra. I mean, he's not that he's going to use those kind of chops in this band, but he's great. So now Jackson's playing more guitar. So my point is, between 3 guitars and Hammond organ, maybe sometimes mellotron and piano, there's a lot of harmonic convergence, and it doesn't leave a lot of room for me to go explore those areas, the way I feel. So I kind of stay in the trenches pretty much, which is pretty much my thing. I mean, that's what I do, play the song, and every once in a while you get to throw a little thing in, and it's cool. I like to do that, but there's not a lot of space for it. Maybe another musical combinations there are, but it's still not what I'm like driven to do. Like I do my thing, my influences are, I come from a different kind of influence, but I have to say Leland was probably, Jimmy and I were talking about this just about 2 weeks ago, how he was asking about influences and stuff. I was talking about all the, it's endless influences, but on electric bass, Jamerson and Duck and Leroy Hodges and Tommy Cogbill and all the Carol Kay a little later on, but melodically, then it was started with McCartney and probably and some of the other English guys who I didn't know who they were at the time because there were no album credits, but like Herbie Flowers and John Paul Jones, but the first guy, the LA guy who was kind of, that was maybe an influence, was Leland, oh wow, that guy could play really melodically. Everybody else was kind of, even Carol, who played so busy, very, could play so articulately and busy, but it was more down in the, bottom to middle part of the neck, that boogaloo style she played. Brilliant. But I think I have to attribute Leland, with that, singer-songwriter era, being able to, play so effortlessly in that, upper registers, mid, from about 9th fret up, like, okay, you can do that too in popular music,
Yeah. We used to call it the no money above the 5th fret.
Yeah.
Well, I listen, I'm still there, I mean, I'm so there. It's like,
that's awesome.
It works, yeah, maybe 7th fret,
on occasion.
Yeah, you know what? I played a bunch with John Fogarty in the late 90s, like for the early 90s to the late 90s. I recorded with them a bunch. And so, I played with them a lot. We're friends and got comfortable. So I was asking about those Creedence records and stuff. Yeah. And he had a thing, really, because they sound so good. It's just a 4-piece band. I mean, it's 5-piece because a lot of them have rhythm, acoustic guitar too, or something. But there's not a lot of extra stuff on them. Yeah. And they sound so great. And his one of the secrets was he didn't like a lot of low notes. So it kind of opened my eyes to get above the 5th fret, 7th fret. He didn't like low E's and low F's and F sharps, maybe a low G, but if he liked them up in the middle register, he said they read to his ears, they really read. I mean, I don't agree with that on everything, but it opened my eyes to like, okay, maybe you don't always have to play that low E or F. You can play it up, like, either off the D string or, third, 2nd, 3rd fret, or on the A string. So yeah, maybe I'll just widen that from the 5th to the 7th fret, the money area, even up to the 9th, maybe.
Yeah.
What? How long do you guys typically rehearse, like for a run like this?
Pre-tour rehearsals were like 2 weeks, 2 5-day weeks,
Okay.
So 10 days. That's more than usual. Usually it's like 5 days, and that's because The extra week was one of our brilliant background singers in Jackson's band is leaving on some, I don't know which leg of the tour. I'm not clear on which part she's not doing, but she has a sub. So her sub was there, listening, and then we'd do a take with run the tune with her. So she's going to come in cold, like, I don't know, on the next leg or the leg after that. I'm not sure which one. And also the guitar player that's subbing right now was there too.
Okay.
So we had this extra week for them to kind of come in, with no pre-tour rehearsal, because that was like 7 weeks ago or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the guitar player played his first show last night. Without much, we did rehearse 7 weeks ago. So that's why we did the extra week.
Gotcha.
For the subs.
Okay. What do you prefer more, playing live or studio work, Bob?
Oh,
I know that's
I like them both so much,
Yeah. I'm sure there's a difference.
I do. If they're so different, I like playing live, and I love being in the studio, playing with great musicians on great music. They're gratifying in kind of really different ways.
Yeah.
One's a little more cerebral than the other.
Yeah.
Maybe the studio part, although I kind of have the same attitude in both, kind of feel like I'm playing in front of a crowd in the studio sometimes, but you can get, pretty nuanced and multiple takes and microscopic about stuff in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on the road, it's really just, you have the one take. You're in the moment. So, but I love them both, and I've been doing both I have to proudly say next year is a 50-year anniversary. I don't expect a gold watch or anything, but I look back, I go, fuck, because somebody asked me, when was the last tour you did? The first tour you did. And it was 1972. So
that's incredible. That's
Man,
awesome.
It's just a long time. I'm just so lucky, that I still get to do this.
It's amazing.
I'll pinch myself now. I'm just lucky.
I thought you were going to say you're just getting warmed up.
Well, I feel like that. I feel like a beginner still. I'm a one-trick pony. I'm trying to get better at that one trick.
Well, wait a second, though. Yeah, well, now you say that, but I was just going to ask you, do you ever look back? Because, obviously I was doing a little bit of research, just catching up on before we got into this. But, dude, I'm looking at your discography, Bob, just your discography alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't actually, I learned something new. I didn't know you had played with Journey, too. You recorded with Journey. So
yeah, I recorded with them. That was an interesting turn of events. For about 3 weeks.
But do you ever look back on your discography and go, "Holy shit"?
Not a lot. I try and look forward more than backwards. But I have looked because I've had to research something about somebody asking me a question, and then in order to sign up for some of these, they're like royalty. They're companies, now this just happened over the last 5 years to 6 years or so. There are these intellectual rights companies from Japan and Western Europe. I don't think it's so much in Eastern Europe, that find money for musicians, for artist royalties for having played on stuff. That never happened, in the first 45 years of doing this. But now, through the Musicians Union and the union and ASCAP and BMI, they've created an intellectual property stream of income for musicians for every time a song that you've played on gets played on the radio or in a TV show or in a movie in Europe now, I have a publishing company that finds royalties, and it's not a lot of money, but it's a little bit of money, and and it's great. So
Yeah.
Really cool.
another long-winded answer to your question. I've had to look back to tell them. I mean, they go on my database, like what you looked at, like All Music or Discogs or one of those, and they find stuff, but it's not always complete. And I go, hey, do you have? And sometimes the credits are wrong. Do you have that I played on blah blah blah? So I've had to look at those things only out of a necessity. I don't really like peruse like what I've done, but yeah, I mean, I know it's been a long time. I've been super fortunate that the phone's still ringing after all this time, and I still get to do this and play on great artists' records and go on tour with great people. And yeah, so I do stop and look back sometimes, especially lately it seems like I've been doing a small handful of interviews, whether they're Zoom or print articles, and so people ask questions and what was it like doing this, and it was like 1977. I go, let me think, so yeah, I do look back a little bit, but kind of, I don't know. I have 4 grandkids now, ranging from ages 4 to like 8.5, and
yeah,
I think it helps me stay more in the moment than looking back,
That's awesome. Yeah.
Of course.
Do you ever like in the grocery store or driving, or just you hear a track and you're like, oh my gosh, and you're just like at first you don't even remember that you played on it, and then you're like,
yeah, it happens pretty frequently, I have to say. It's kind of funny. Yeah, and just like that in a grocery store, and it's always kind of fun. I go, God, I played on that. Or if I'm with my girlfriend or my grandkid or a friend. I mean, listen, I just got busted on the bus ride here last night because we have a new guy, the new sub, who's played with us a couple of years ago, so we're good friends now. But he asked me about some artists, and oh yeah, I played with them. He said, of course you did. And then another artist came up like about a half hour ago. I go, oh yeah, I toured with them. I played a record with them. Of course you did. So they were busting my balls last night about that. It kind of turned into a running joke.
You should just make stuff up now and just tell them, yeah, I played on that. You know what I mean? It just wait for him to say.
Well, it's going to be a cartoon series. Yeah, whatever.
What do you? So, what do you see differently now? Obviously, studio work. We all know, the major studio work has kind of faded off over the years, but what are some similarities and some differences that you see now in the studio versus back when it was really busy, when you were doing a lot of recording back then?
Well, in a lot of ways it's the same. I mean, people have songs or a little piece of music for a movie or a TV show, a little, it doesn't have to be a song. It could just be, 30 seconds of music that goes into a film. But that part's the same. It's all music, right?
Right.
But, obviously the days of, in the 70s and 80s, there was a period where, I was really, really, really busy when I was home. And I was really fortunate to be that busy. And I had a cartridge company. A lot of young musicians don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
And what that is a company that transports your gear, whether you keep it at their warehouse or your home, or they're picking up from another studio, pick up your gear, deliver it to the studio, set it up. In my case, it was a Ampeg B15S that I bought brand new in 1971, I believe. Wow. It could have been, maybe 72. It was 1972, right at the beginning of 72, right when they came. Is that when you think they came out?
The S's, yeah.
B15S.
Yeah.
Flip top B15 with the bigger body.
Yep.
60 watt amp instead of 30 watt.
Yep.
I still have it. It's been rebuilt.
Wow.
It's been rebuilt once. It melted down in a studio once. That's a whole nother story. We could get to that. But so I had a company that delivered, I would be working on, I mean, I don't want to name drop, but whatever, be working with the Doors or something from 12, have to be, 12 to 6, which they call 2 sessions. A session is a 3-hour block of time.
Yep.
A union recording session.
Mm-hmm.
3 hours. Yep.
3 hours. So 2-3, they book you for 3-hour, 2 3-hour dates. And then they'd be waiting for me to be done. Sometimes it would go till, 6:15 or 6:20 because I had a 7 o'clock session till 1 in the, what's 6 hours, 7 to 10 and 10 to 1.
Yeah.
7 p.m. to 1. And they'd be there and pick it up and deliver it. Because I had a trunk of basses back then. I mean, most guys were just like going around town with their one bass or maybe 2, on their shoulder. But I don't know. I'm not going to take any credit for revolutionizing, having a lot of basses on sessions. But I did kind of early in the 70s have, a couple of P basses, one with flats, one with rounds, a Hofner. As I acquired more instruments, I wanted to use them.
Yeah.
Other than having them sitting collecting dust at home. So whether it was a Gibson or a Hofner or and that's what they were. I had a trunk and they'd deliver that and my B-15 and that was about it. And I'd have a little shoulder bag with maybe one pedal and some chords and when I got there, the amp would be set up so the engineer could mic it. So those days are gone. I don't have a cartridge company delivering anything. If I go do even one overdub for someone in their home studio or at a place of business studio, I just, put the back seat down in one of our, 2 cars, either my car or Nancy's car, and put probably a minimum of 2 to 3 basses in there. And sometimes if I'm going to be there for more than one day, it could be as many as 5. I don't go crazy and take, a dozen basses.
Yeah.
Although I'd love to, but it's just really not, it's really unnecessary. If I go to Jackson's studio where I'm very comfortable at, because I've worked there a lot with him, we cut an album. Well, it's probably started a couple of years ago, but just came out maybe a year and a half ago, and he worked on it a bunch over last year and had it done, I think, by this spring, and it just came out in July.
Okay.
But I brought but we only got called for like 1 or 2 days at a time. You go, okay, need you these 2 days, and then I'd bring like 5 basses or something, and then if I heard the song on day 2 that I thought, oh, maybe I'll take 2 home and swap them out for another 2 at home.
Yeah.
It's just kind of for my amusement, thinking that one bass will sound better in a certain song than another, when in fact any of them would sound just fine.
Yeah, I'm definitely of that breed too. I'll take way more than what is needed. And I remember bringing 6 or 7 basses to I had 2 days bass day for this particular record in LA, and I opened up one of my cases and it's a fretless, and the producer was like, "Don't even open that case." Like he's like, "I don't want to even see that fretless."
Yeah,
he's like, "Fretless is dead," and I was like,
"Fretless is dead."
I was like, "Mark my words, I will bring it back."
My fretless is then,
But now I'm hearing fretless in pop music again. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's not dead, but I mean, it's not my strong suit, but I usually don't, I don't take one, although I have several, and I don't know, I might take one if I kind of know ahead of time what it could be, but probably not.
Yeah.
I have 3 actually.
Now, do you do you ever listen to some of these recordings and go, especially like if you're on a session, you lay down a track and you hear it back and you go, I should have used the 64 on that. Give me another shot at it, sort of thing.
No, I probably don't do that as much. Maybe a few times, but it's more like I should have played better. I mean, there's a lot of self-loathing and doing this. I'm not doing any self-congratulatory pats on my back on most of the stuff. Every once in a while I go, oh, that feels pretty good,
Yeah.
I'll do something. I went, well, that sounds okay, but I'm more often than not going, God, I wish I would have played better, better. But, oftentimes when you go in a studio to record with an artist or a band or an artist, it could be just a singer, and a drummer and bass player. You don't have a lot of time. Time is an important commodity. So when somebody's hiring studio time and paying musicians and engineers, oftentimes you get one take, sometimes first takes the record, and there's sometimes, I won't say often, there's a beauty in like you were searching for something.
Yeah.
Because you just heard the artist play the song, or you heard a demo of it, and when you hear a demo of it and they say, do this, well, that makes life kind of easy. Maybe not as fun, because then you know what the job at hand is, and you maybe will notate a chart quickly or do something like this. But when you're left to your own device, you're just exploring and searching and, jamming and playing out of my limited bag of tricks. And that's what you hear. And so, later on I'll go, oh, I wish I would have, could have done that better. But, it is what it is. It's a moment, and then, the music's gone, but it lives on forever.
Yeah.
But the moment that you played it is gone.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of just trying to stay in the moment, and I'll say that ad nauseum, and do the best that I can at that time. I think that's what myself, I get called for, and that's what all the good musicians on every instrument get called for in that kind of context. It's unlike, going to play on movie scores and television scores where everything's notated. And you just go in and read the page. That's a whole nother art too. And my reading abilities are okay. I don't do it that much. It's probably been, I won't say it's been the demise of a career, but it hasn't been my strong suit. I don't get called. I've done movie scores and I've done a lot of reading dates, but not so much anymore. I don't see a lot of music. If I see music, it's usually a chord chart with maybe a couple important figures written in. And I can usually get through. And if I have trouble with a bar or something, I can ask somebody smarter than me. Is that the way this goes?
Yeah.
But that's always a work in progress.
Sure. Do you do any recording at home? Do you have?
I don't. I did at one point. I don't, but I think I'm going to put together a little, this laptop or a newer one. This is like a 5-year-old MacBook Pro. It'd probably be fine, or maybe just get a second one, a newer one, and it doesn't have to be dedicated for that. All I need is a duet or some kind of interface, and I'm ready to go. I have speakers at home, and maybe buy a mic. I used to have some mics and stuff. I sold a bunch of recording gear. I had a little home studio at a former home. I had a building out in the back. A building meaning it was once a workshop, like a half a garage, and I soundproofed it and did the double glass sliding. I had a drum set up and mic'd up, and I got into it. But that was over 20 years ago, and I kind of lost interest in it because the technology wasn't my strong suit, and engineering wasn't. I enjoyed just making music, but I did have people over and, recorded a couple artists and made demos with the intention of trying to get them record deals. And it was fun, but I have to say, I really enjoy being in a room with people playing. That's not what's happening all the time.
Yeah.
I have a number of friends who I don't know what the percentage of their yearly income is, but are doing quite a bit of stuff every month from home, doing overdubs for people. And I could be doing that too. I've turned down some. or I've gone to a neighbor's house who has a studio and pay him an engineering fee to do it. Or another studio that's a couple, like 3 miles away, that a friend owns, and do the same with him. I enjoy that more because I have him to bounce off of, and he punches me in or punches me in and out. I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy a little duet, and the interface and Pro Tools and learn it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm really behind the curve on that. It's just laziness, and I don't have a big desire. I don't enjoy it being by myself doing it that much. And I have to be honest, most often when I get asked to do it, economically, I'm not completely money driven, because I work with artists in all types of with all types of budgets.
Yeah.
Some people can't pay as much as others, so it's not a completely money driven thing for me. And but that, truth be told, some people have called me to do it. The budgets are so low, it's just not worth my time at that point. At some point, I mean, do I really? I won't even say any numbers, but do I really want to do that? Take the 3 hours that it's going to take me. Some guys are super fast at it. You can just plug in and, maybe in 20, 30 minutes, they have it done. I know myself, it's going to take me a while, and I'm pretty OCD about a lot of stuff. I'm probably going to want to do multiple takes till I get it right. And they often send you a tune. You have to learn the tune or chart the tune. And, there's a process, get a sound. Once you're good at it, your sound you can dial it up pretty fast. But I'm making a lot of excuses for not doing it. But economically, I haven't been driven to do it because the budgets are usually so low. And I have other interests in life, like hobbies and, like I said, grandkids that live very close and to us, and that I'm very involved with. I'll say involved with. My daughters maybe will bust me if I say very involved. I try to be when I have the time.
Sure.
Yeah. So at this age, I can pick and choose what I want to do, and I don't really want to. If I get up and running, I'm going to, be a hypocrite, and I'll probably, you'll be seeing me advertise online. Bass overdubs for hire, ready here. But I'm not really driven to be doing a lot of that right now. I'm kind of in a phase in my life where that's not a big, huge goal of mine. But I do on the same token want to put something together. And that's why I have to do it in order. I could go to a neighbor's house and get an SVT signature suite settings myself on the app, which I've been meaning to do. Just haven't had the time. I've been so damn busy with, thankfully, really fortunate for the last like 4 months or so. For this year, a lot of this year, which is kind of amazing. Last year I wasn't quite as busy.
Yeah, it's it seemed like last year especially, we saw so many people getting their home studios together, because that's where most of the session work was done last year, was in home studios. But there is that faction. I mean, I have a home studio here. Dom has a home studio. There's a lot of times, number one, obviously we work out of our houses too, but it's like,
oh, are you working from home? You're not going into an office?
No, this is my home studio, and
Gotcha.
Anybody that works from home, whether you're doing a studio thing or an office thing, there's no such thing as 9 to 5. Like, you never leave your job.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah. I know that from having had a room at home, and I have a room. That picture that you guys that I sent you to put on the little advertisement for this.
Yeah.
Of what we're doing right now. That's in my little man cave. I have a guest house in my backyard, which is really sweet. It's my man cave, and it's just chock full. It's 2 rooms, and one room is basically what would be a tiny little bedroom. It's kind of a glorified closet for bass. I walk in there and I have shelving unit with bass
Yeah.
cases and gig bags, and then the whole floor is cases. And then the front room where that picture was taken, there's another, just stand-up rack of like 6 to 8 basses in my upright, which basically I don't play that often, but I once in a while, and guitars, and and it's my hang, and I spend a lot of time out there as it is, just my think tank, or it's kind of like my office and practice room, and it's where I hang out. If I had the studio thing set up too, there's going to be more hours there.
Yeah,
and it's good. I
slate.
love being out there. What's that?
It's my new
yeah,
blank
look at
slate. I'm about to put all this foam up and build out this
Oh
room.
wow,
but just moved
nice.
in, so
It's nice to have a
stark
room.
white right now.
It's
Yeah,
a
I'm really
blessing.
excited.
seeing we're showing show and tell. This is
Oh,
where
look at that.
too.
I see some Ampeg gear.
Yeah, I can't wait to
Just
get my
few.
B15 back out.
Is that a B15 on the right? A modern reissue?
Yeah, that's a Heritage B15 from.
Oh, Heritage. Those are nice.
Yeah.
That has the 62 and 66 or 67.
I think it's 64 and 66.
64 and 66.
Yeah.
64, 66 switch. I've played through one. They're great.
Yeah.
I have.
I was just
that?
gonna say, it's like you said. I mean, it's all mic'd up and ready to go. So
Yeah, I need to do that.
It's all.
I recently acquired, because the B15S is kind of large. It's in the garage, which is right next adjoining wall to my man cave. But
Yeah.
I recently acquired a 1967 B12 flip top, and that's really nice. I got that from a guy with a 66P bass combo, and so that would be a nice little amp to mic up, or the little mini SVT.
Yeah, I love that.
Or I'm really interested, but that's another conversation. I'm really interested in checking out one of the Rocket combos.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one, but I hear nothing but great stuff about one. I just told someone to buy one, someone close to me, family member.
Well,
I think I know where we can get one for you.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a separate link.
I'll have to talk to you about the different models.
Yeah, we're gonna have a separate link on ampeg.com that is like the shop, and then there's like Dino's basement, and it's like all the gear from Dino's basement.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah. Do you have a baby? Do you have a baby bass?
No, I had a couple of opportunities to buy one, and I never did. I have a K, I think it's a C series upright.
Oh,
wow. That's been my upright bass. So I never really, other than a collector's reason, I never really had a reason to buy a baby bass.
Yeah, I bought one in the early 70s. I had one. I have a picture of me playing it, just in my house. I think it was around 1976.
Okay.
Or 75. And I had it for a while, and I don't know why. I think I sold it in the early 80s. I just wasn't playing it. I woulda, shoulda, coulda, wish. There's a couple basses I've bought and sold so many instruments over the years. There's only several I kind of wish I still had, that being one of them.
Yeah, we had this. I know we had talked about this the other day when we were exchanging emails back and forth about P basses, and
yeah, right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you can't keep everything, although some people do.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't have a lot of remorse about it, but it'd be cool to have one.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Hey, Bob, I got to ask you this. So, just
is my screen dark or no? Do you see me well? It goes in and out, right?
Yeah, right now
maybe that's better. Okay.
That's a little better, yeah.
Yeah. When the light from the background comes in, you get dark because the
maybe
window.
I should lean in a little more.
I think you're good.
Okay.
Your early beginnings, did you start off as a bass player, or did you start on a different instrument when you were younger?
No, I started off as a bass player, but shortly before that, maybe a year and a half or so, I was probably 13. My brother and I have an older brother, and we always shared a bedroom growing up. We never had our own room. trying to make the lighting here better. No, that's terrible. We bought a drum set together, right?
Okay.
And so we would be pounding on a drum kit. We had a pretty good sized bedroom that my dad built for us, added on to a tiny home. And so he, being the older brother, he would get on the drums first for like an hour pound. And by the time I got on, my mom, who was very sweet, would say, "That's enough." So I didn't I didn't get a lot of time on the drums. I had a feel for them, and I have a drum kit in my little room, little mini. I have one of these Ludwig Questlove, they call it break beats kit. It has a 16-inch kick. Small, it's tiny, it's small footprint, but they sound amazing.
Yeah.
But I gravitated towards the drums very early on. But yeah, I didn't play anything so when I was about maybe 13, just going into 14, my friends in junior high school had a band with no bass player in it. They had 2 guitars, keyboards, and drums. And the keyboard player played sax too and sang. But it kind of just happened. Hey, if I buy a bass, they were my buddies in school, in middle school. Hey, if I buy a bass, can I be in the band? And that's how I started playing bass. Okay. I never looked back. I stopped playing a couple times, because I didn't know what to do with myself. But that's all I've done since about age 14.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, did you grow up in LA? Were you born and raised in LA?
I wasn't born, but I was raised in LA. I was born in New York, in the Bronx. We lived in the Bronx. My parents are Eastern European descent, and were immigrants, after World War II. Yep. They moved to New York from they were from Slovakia, but they're Holocaust survivors, both of them, and lived through all that. Moved to New York. I was born there, but we moved to LA before I was 2 years old. So I have no recollection of New York as a child. Yeah. So I'm a native of LA.
You don't have
I've been there since. No. I've been there since 1954, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a long time. I think I was less than 2 when we moved.
Okay, all right. And would you say you got your start with Jesse Ed Davis?
Well, that's the first record I ever played on that was a record on a bona fide record label. I had played on a few demos for people before then that kind of just learned what that was. I was mostly in just several cover bands,
Okay.
And one in that one I was telling you with my friend that I joined when I just started playing in middle school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then another one with another set of friends that are still close friends in high school. And then I kind of didn't play for a little bit after high school.
Okay.
Or maybe a year. I just took a year off, not meaning to, but I traveled around, hitchhiked around Europe with a buddy, and I was away for 7 months out of the year in 1971.
Okay.
And I quit community college, and I was taking classes. But I had no zero inkling of what it meant to become. Oh yeah, I could do this for a career. Just was something I was just always doing. I was in a band, and it was fun, and but to do it. But then I was always buying albums, and then somewhere around when I started, whenever it was around 1969 or 70 or 71, started buying albums that saw listings of musicians' credits. Because up until then, no albums ever had musician credits. You didn't know who played on a Motown record. You bought a record, and it was incredible and amazing. You went, wow, that's amazing bass playing. But you didn't know who it was unless you knew people. And I didn't live in Detroit, or I didn't know guys a lot older than me that might know, oh yeah, that's Jamerson or Bob Babbitt or whatever, or that's Duck Dunn. I kind of knew early who Duck was because the MGs were a band. It was like knowing who Paul McCartney was,
Right.
you know. But as a session player, you weren't seeing credits, you know, when they were playing on Otis Redding records. You just didn't know. But so around that time, I think maybe a light bulb went off, and like, oh wow, there's guys you start seeing the same names over and over again. Chuck Rainey, Duck, you know, Jerry Jamont, Tommy Cogbill, you know, the names of all the cats. It's Ron Carter on the jazz records coming out, the CCI jazz records out in New York. Well, I knew who Paul Chambers was because, you know, his Miles Davis Quintet, you know, listed the band members.
Yeah.
But those weren't, you know, even though they played with other artists, it wasn't like they were pop or rock records where you never saw credits.
Mm-hmm.
So once I started seeing that, you know, it dawned on me that, wow, I could maybe, I mean, it still didn't dawn on me that I could do this, you know. I mean, it still doesn't dawn on me that I can do this, and I'm doing it. But I think maybe that, without really ever having given it much thought, I think looking back that I'm like, oh wow, there's guys doing this, like a studio musician.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, a light bulb went off when I was hitchhiking through Europe. I've told this story, I won't say ad nauseum, but on another interview recently. I was taking that kind of almost a year off when I hitchhiked with my buddy across Europe, and I ended up in Israel meeting some of my mom's family had emigrated to Israel after World War II. So she had a brother and sister, and I went and landed there and met them and their kids, who were my first cousins. And they took me in for almost 3 months between two families. I bounced back and forth. My mom had a brother and sister, you know, each with their own family kids. And I bounced back between the two of them. But anyway, while I was there in 1971, I remember vividly seeing the concert for Bangladesh. The George Harrison, you know, the first, I think it's credited as being the first benefit concert, you know, and I saw that, and there I saw Jesse Ed Davis playing guitar in the band. And I had gone to see Jesse a lot in the late 60s with the Taj Mahal, the first Taj Mahal band trio. And I was a huge fan of that band.
Okay.
That particular blues band. They had albums that came out in like I'd say 67, maybe 68, 69, 70, or 67, 68, 69. I went to go see him at a blues club in LA numerous times. So I was familiar with Jesse, and he played the great guitar solo on Jackson Browne's Dr. My Eyes, on the recording of it, I think, which was done in 71. So all that was happening around that time. I was taking that trip, and I saw him on there, and I went, because I hadn't been playing for 7 months. I traveled around with an acoustic guitar. I was trying to learn how to play guitar, and I schlepped an acoustic guitar with me, you know, hitchhiking on a trip. Not the smartest move, you know, but it was fun to have it. And anyway, I saw him on that thing. I went, I want to do that, whatever that is.
Yeah,
because I knew he was already known for playing on records, you know, and after the Taj Mahal band, after he left that, he already had 2 solo albums. At that point, I knew those records, and I knew everyone who played on, you know, Jim Keltner, Doug Gunn, you know, all these different players, Dr. John, all these musicians I was reading about. That I saw him on stage, I went, God, I want to do that, whatever that is, you know.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
You just want to be a part of it.
Somehow, when I moved back to LA, my best buddies who I played music with moved into a home right behind Jesse, right near Venice Beach, in Marina del Rey, right, or like a house in from the beach, and right behind him. And by, you know, my own dumb luck and good fortune, I became acquainted with him, and we became friends. He befriended me. Wow. And I went over to his house all the time. He said, come over and start listening to music. And then by a, you know, happenstance, a bit of luck, his bass player, he needed a bass player on like a minute's notice one night for a record he was starting on Epic Records. So yeah, that is my first recording. And I just kind of started working. I won't say it took off like a rocket ship from there, but
Yeah.
He immediately started recommending me. Well, he and maybe Jim Keltner a little bit too started recommending me for some sessions. Like, I'm gonna name drop a little bit here. Like pretty soon afterwards. Oh yeah, you want to play on John Lennon's in town. You want to play on, want to play on something. So I got a call from Phil Spector's office. I'm in the studio with John Lennon at age 20, and then a Rod Stewart record, and then it kind of just stuff started to happen. But then I went on the road 2 years later for a couple of years. I felt I was getting calls for studio work, and I got kind of nervous about it. I felt like I wasn't ready for it. I hadn't been playing enough after quitting playing for almost a year. So I took a gig, not took a gig. I got offered a position playing with Dave Mason, and who wrote "Feeling All Right," by Joe Cocker, and Only You Know and I Know. And he was an arena act at the time. And so I went on the road with him for about a year and a half. And after that, I felt like more. I think it got my confidence level up a little bit.
Yeah.
I still suffer from lack of confidence.
I think everybody has this imposter syndrome thing because they hold so many other people on pedestals, and then when they're in that position, they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy, or I can't be
very very well put, imposter syndrome. Yeah, it's like, what are you doing here? What am I doing here? Yeah.
50 years later of touring,
because I know like so many great players, and friends with so many great players, but I just always figured there's some reason I'm sitting in the chair.
Well,
someone else isn't. I don't think about it much. I'm just there and grateful and do the best I can and move on.
Yeah, man. Well, I know people have been kind of commenting and saying hi, and
I haven't looked at any comments. I only had the private chat thing on.
Yeah, so Anthony Cook said, you're always very humble, but you have some very memorable bass lines. For any of the newer, younger bassists, just give the listen to the tune "The Pretender," which is what I was going to bring up when we were talking about the upper register stuff, and that was the one that you were playing with Jackson when Danny.
Oh, right.
Danny Moore, we looked at each other and were like, "That's the lick."
That's awesome. Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Oh, now I'm scrolling up to some.
So anybody that's watching, if you have questions, we got to cut it short here because I know we ran overtime. But if anybody has any questions, chime in now. And
thank you, Chuck, for the RB210 recommendation.
Are there any questions I need to type in answers to?
No, it's.
Yeah, I'm scrolling down. I'm sorry, I only had the private chat.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine.
Now I see all the comments. Yeah.
Tony has pointed out that we all have hats on today.
Who is? We all have hats on. I wear a hat. I don't sleep with one on, but I have been known to take a nap with one on. I like the Ampeg hat. I just noticed it's the Ampeg.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh God, I'm gonna have to hit you guys up for a swag. I'm a big hat guy. Wear them.
We got this one, and it's in somewhere in the other room. I'm still unpacking, but we have the old logo too, the lowercase.
Oh, yes. Cool.
Yeah. For anybody that wants to know, you can go to ampeg.com, click on the shop, and you can get hats and wearables there, and
swag.
All my swag is in my office in Calabasas, which I still haven't seen yet for the last year and a half.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Because they're at the office, right?
Yeah.
You've been working out home the whole time.
I've been in New Hampshire the whole time. So I
guess that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, until your wife starts threatening you.
Yeah, I know. You miss the camaraderie of your friends at work too, right?
I do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I certainly miss Dino in the flesh, but now I know when his whites are done. I always hear washer dryer in the background.
my washroom is right back there. So every now and then Dom will be on a conference call and I'll forget to turn the buzzer off. The buzzer will go like, Dino, your whites are done. Oh, thanks.
Thankfully, that's in the house. At my house. That's not close by.
So, Bob, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, my friend.
Well, always. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on, and we'll have you again. You know, the whole premise of this at one time was we wanted to do this live in person in Calabasas and invite artists.
I see.
In Calabasas, and then obviously with COVID, this became the opportunity, and with StreamYard and everything, it's like, you know what, we could still do this, but we can do it with StreamYard. And when we get back to reconvening in person, we're going to go back into the studio and start doing these, live studio things. So,
well, look forward to seeing you either in Boston or New Hampshire or in LA, Calabasas at some point down the line.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't think we're playing, but like I said, there's no interaction with guests. I can invite a guest to a show, but there's no interaction at the shows. Where do you live, Dom?
We can text. I'm in LA as well.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, do you live out by Calabasas? Or?
I actually am split between Encino and Malibu, so pretty much all actually kind of around that circle. Yeah.
Nice.
He's got a summer home in Malibu and
Get out of here.
primary residence.
You do? Good going.
It's an interesting situation. Yeah, you got me. That's good.
Good going. I'll have to hear details on that.
Yeah.
I haven't been invited to the summer home yet, Bob.
Yeah. He hasn't. No.
Hey, well, listen, guys, thanks so much for having me.
Thank
you.
Thanks for having me.
It's been great talking to you.
Enjoy Napa and good luck in the golf on the, what do they say, on the green? Yeah, good luck on the green.
Yeah, I don't know what you say. Yeah, well, thanks. I need it.
I just say hit them straight.
Yeah, there you go. Do you play?
No, funny story. I have 7 older brothers and sisters.
Wow.
And my mom, and they all play. I don't play.
Oh, so really? They all play.
I am the most educated non-golfer because that's all they talk about at family get-togethers is how they're handicaps and this and that. Oh, I just bought this $500 wood. It's like,
people who don't play golf, although you have family members go, oh God, it could not be more boring.
No, right? I understand it though. I understand. It's just I spend my Sundays sitting on a Harley instead of on a golf.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't spend Sundays usually, but I have the luxury of having days in the middle of the week often where I can go play. It's just an excuse to go be with buddies, a walk in the park.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just like a Harley ride. It's just like one of those things that clears your brain.
Yep. Yeah. Wind therapy. So. Cool.
All right. Well, I'll see you down the road a bit. I hope,
right,
and we'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
See you. Oh,
see you,
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If I wanted to answer any of these things personally, once we get off, that's closed, right?
No, you can. I think if you're looking, all the ones that are on Facebook, if you go to the Facebook page.
Oh, I'm not on Facebook. I'm just looking at our StreamYard comments.
But do you have a Facebook account?
Yes.
So after this is all over, Erin will post this whole interview and the link and everything on Facebook.
On the MPEG site.
Yeah, and these comments will show up there.
Oh, and I can answer them there.
Yep.
If anybody has a personal question or a comment or something.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
Cool.
And sorry for the delay. Thanks for helping me get set up. Sorry.
Glad we were able to.
I thought I had it all together.
It's all good.
No
hey,
worries.
everybody.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. I think I don't have my notes up, but in 2 weeks we're going to have another SVT time. Actually, I think it's
Sweet Talk, right?
It is Sweet Talk. It is with hang on. I have my notes here, and no, I don't have my notes. Darn it. Anyways, keep an eye on the Ampeg Facebook page because in 2 weeks it will be a Sweet Talk. We'll be talking about.
I will.
So, cool guys.
Okay, guys.
All
Thanks,
right.
Bob.
See you, Dino. See you, Dom. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, bye.